Hello everyone. Today we will cover the topic international business environment. We'll start. Environment of international business and its significance. Strategic formulation is sometimes defined as establishing a proper firm environment, and it highlights the critical importance of analyzing the international business environment to the development of international business strategies. In fact, what distinguishes the strategic concept of marketing from the new concept of marketing, which spread about 1960, the marketing concept, is the emphasis of business environment. Keegan observes by the 1990s, it was clear that the new concept of marketing was outdated and at the times it demanded demanded a strategic concept. The strategic concept of marketing, a major evolution in the history of marketing thought, shifted the focus of marketing from the customer or the product to the customer in the context of broader external environment. Knowing everything there is to know about the customer is not enough. To succeed, marketers must know the customer in a context including the competition, government policy and regulation, and the broader economic, social, and political macro forces that shape the evolution of markets. In global marketing, this may mean working closely with home country government, trade negotiators, and other officials and industry competitors to gain access to a target country market. If environmental orientation is the essence of strategy, then what makes the international business strategy different from domestic strategy is obviously the differences in the business environment. The strategic question, therefore, is not whether the market is foreign or domestic, but whether business environment is the same or different. If the foreign and domestic business environments are the same, then there is no need of different strategies. On the other hand, if there are substantial differences in the business environment within the domestic market, there may be a need for different strategies. What makes a business strategy successful in one market and a failure in another is often the differences in the business environment. In other words, the differences in the business environment may call for changes in business strategies. That is, there should be adaptation of the business strategy to suit the environment of the market. In short, it is the differences in the marketing environment which may make the international business strategy different from the domestic one. It may be noted that significant differences in the business environment may exist even within a country, particularly if the country is geographically very vast, very populous, and multicultural. The differences in the level and nature of industrialization between different states and different regions within the states and preferences, beliefs, and customs of the different cultures may vary widely. Dissimilar weather and climate conditions, topographical factors, etc., could also be decisive factors. In short, the basic thing is not whether the market is domestic or international, but whether the business environment of the different markets is similar or dissimilar. However, in many cases, the differences in business environment between nations are often more substantial than within country. A detailed analysis of the business environment of the foreign countries is therefore an essential prerequisite for formulating international business strategies. Such strategic decisions, as whether a company should enter a given foreign market or not, what market entry strategy should it employ, what strategy should it adopt to in respect of product, promotion, pricing and distribution, etc., are based on two sets of factors: the company related factors and foreign market related factors. The decision as to whether to go international or not is based, in addition to the above two, on yet another set of factors: the domestic marketing environment, as pointed out earlier in Why Go International. There are certain relevant global factors. A firm in international business thus encounters the three different sets of external environments: domestic environment, foreign environment, global environment. The internal environment of the firm is also important. The competence of a firm to do international business depends on a number of international factors, such as the mission and the vision of the firm, the attitude, capabilities, and commitments of top management and the entire people in the organization, organizational structure and decision making and implementing factors, financial or other resources, capabilities. International business demands strict adherence to product and delivery schedules, commitment to quality, quick and effective response to customer requirements, cost competitiveness, innovativeness, etc. The internal environment has significant bearing on all these. A company which wants to do or does business abroad has a relevant home country environment. For example, there may be government policies, regulations governing foreign business of domestic companies. In many cases, the domestic micro and macro environments have a bearing, but in some cases, it is the macro environment that is mostly important for a company which does not manufacture or source anything domestically for the foreign business. The domestic microenvironment may not be very relevant. It may also be noted that in several cases, the decision to manufacture domestically anything for the foreign market is based on an assessment of domestic microenvironment. Foreign environment here refers to the environment of relevant foreign market. The nature of the components of the business environment may differ between different markets. The difference in the external environment may even necessitate, in some cases, modification of the internal environment. For an explanation of the meaning of business environment and its components, the global environment refers to those global factors which are relevant to business, such as the WTO principles and agreements, other international conventions, treaties, agreements, declarations, protocols, etc., economic and business conditions, sentiments in other countries. Similarly, there are certain developments like a hike in the crude oil price which have global impact. An Indian company which wants to globalize would have to adopt internationally acceptable standards and practices in several respects, such as accounting and reporting, governance, etc., particularly if it wants to tap the international capital market or to enter foreign collaboration. For example, if the company wants to make an ADR, GDR issue, it will have to present its external reporting according to the US GAAP, General Accepted Accounting Principles. Adoption to GAAP may present a different picture of the performance of the company. There are hundreds of cases of market failures that result from the inability of properly, under, properly understand the market characteristics and their implementation for marketing and resultant ill-conceived marketing efforts. An analysis of the exercise of leading American firms in the major markets of the world has identified that the outstanding marketer is keenly aware of the variations from one market to another. He never thinks solely in terms of the common market. He knows that countries and even sections of countries differ enormously in almost every factor critical to his market planning. As Ketiora points out, the key to successful international business is adaptation to the differences in environment that usually exist from one market to another. Adaptation is not a passive process but a conscious effort on the part of the international marketer to anticipate the influences of both the foreign and domestic uncontrollable environments of on a marketing mix and then to adjust the marketing mix to minimize the effects. Lee suggests that the root cause of most international business problems is the self reference criterion in making decisions, that is an unconscious reference to one's own cultural values, experiences and knowledge as basis for decision. The SRC is one of the most difficult to break. Lee proposes a systematic four-step framework for eliminating in this form of myopia. Define the problem or goal in terms of home country cultural traits, habits, and norms. Define the problem or goals in terms of foreign cultural traits, habits, and norms. Isolate the SRC in the problem and examine it carefully to see how it complicates the problem. Redefine the problem without SRC influence and solve for the foreign market. There are a number of examples of even mighty multinationals seriously burning their fingers because of the failure to adapt to the idiosyncrasies of foreign markets. In many cases, it was the SRC which doomed them to failure. For example, Procter and Gamble stormed into the Japanese market with American products, American managers, American sales methods, and promotion strategies. The result was disastrous until the company learned how to adapt products and marketing style to Japanese culture. Procter and Gamble, which entered Japan in 1973, lost money until 1987, but by 1991, Japan became its second largest foreign market. Similarly, the American company Texas Instruments, which stated which started making semiconductors in Japan in 1961, took an American approach to hiring, pay, and benefits, dismissing the Japanese system of offering bonuses two times in a year as impractical. The workers disagreed, moral crumbled, and the company had trouble recruiting employees. Later, when the company adopted the Japanese methods of recruiting and reward, including bonus and a promotion system based on seniority, the situation vastly changed, and in 1985, it won the Deming Prize for quality control in Japan. Apple computers and the Colgate Palmolive products are also among those which failed in Japan, as they did not adapt to the Japanese market. A study of 300 major American companies doing business in Japan has revealed that most of the successful companies entered the market with the strength of a source driven product, a technological lead, a new to Japan concept, a differentiated marketing strategy, or most likely a combination of them. In short, the business environment is a very important determinant of business strategy. When the business environments of different countries are dissimilar, an international firm will have to design different strategies to suit the environment of these markets. In other words, to be successful in foreign market, a company should establish strong insider position based on marketing environment. When global success rests on market by market functional strength, you have to play a series of domestic games against well defined competitors. You have to become a true insider in that market. If the market requires the first class sales force, you have to have one. If competition turns on dealer support programs, that's where you have to excel. Some occasions do exist when doing more better is right, the necessary course to follow. Still, there are usually opportunities to define these domestic games to your advantage. And that ends our topic international business environment. Thank you for your time.